sounds great being a princess, but it's not just about waving around a wand and wearing cool clothes. It means new responsibilities, just like growing up.
Hello and welcome to Girltaku with your host. I'm Lo and we have Pika. And today we have the collecting Sailor Moon icon, Brooke, aka Ochibawolf. Tell our fans a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, it's so nice to meet you, Lo and Pika. I'm so excited for you guys to start your show journey. Like, I've already subscribed everywhere. I can't wait to see how you guys grow and evolve from there. And I'm here for it. I'm going to support you guys 100%. Thank you for the introduction. My name is Brooke. A little bit about me. I'm 35. I'm married and I am a huge toy collector. Like Lo said, my specialty is Sailor Moon. I've been collecting seriously since 2006. Wow. So my Sailor Moon collection has just accumulated over that amount of time. Oh, I also collect Pokemon, Disney, and some like other oddball things as well. It's not just Sailor Moon. However, that is the majority of my collection. I'm also a content creator. I started my YouTube journey in 2019. I'm also the co-founder of SailorMoonFanNetwork.com, which is the largest Sailor Moon fan site currently. We really just try to post all of the Sailor Moon news to an English audience because there isn't any official news source for Sailor Moon fans in English. We do have the official Japanese one, which is SailorMoon-official.com, and we do use that as our main source for the Japanese news, but they don't cover North American stuff. They don't cover Taiwan. They don't cover, what's happening in Korea or anything like that. So as long as we have a source that we can reference to, like we want to have a real source. We don't want to spread fake news or rumors or anything like that. So as long as we have an official source to grab the information from, we will post it on Sailor Moon Fan Network to keep Sailor Moon fans in the know.
And I love that you're a part of the over 30 gang.
Absolutely, still going strong.
I just joined the over 30 gang this year, so
welcome.
I'm feeling pretty good
Pika,
about
it doesn't get any better. Not everybody feels good when they reach 30, so I'm super happy that you have like a positive outlook on it.
27 and 30, I was just like, these are such weird ages. Like, why can't I just like be 30 already?
I love it. I've never met somebody who's like really looking forward to their 30s. So Pika, you're an inspiration.
I'll be 31 in January, and I'm like, 30 has been good. Like the things that like you worry about when you were in your 20s, you're just like, I don't care anymore.
Let's get into some of our questions that we have prepared for you. Your Sailor Moon collection is one of the most impressive we've ever seen, especially as longtime fans ourselves. How did you get into collecting and why Sailor Moon?
I'm going to be honest with you guys. I had some traumatic things in my childhood, so I kind of suppressed a lot of the memories during that time when I first became a Sailor Moon fan, but I absolutely love Sailor Moon. Around middle school is when I first saw it aired on TV, and of course I fell in love with it. At that time it was the geek dub that was airing here in North America, and then I continued to love it up until I want to say later on in middle school, maybe early high school. I kind of like kept that to myself. Like, anime wasn't popular then. I was trying to be, I was trying to fit in with everybody in school. Didn't make you look good if you liked Sailor Moon, unfortunately, at that time. So there was like a little weird moment where, I didn't really watch it. I didn't really acknowledge it. I didn't collect it. But then in 2006, and this was the year I graduated high school, by the way, showing my age again, I was like, you know what? I don't care. Yeah. I don't care what people think. I rediscovered the anime and I started watching it again. And I'm like, man, I wish I had all my toys that I had back in the day, because I did not have. Yes. So you can kind of relate. You're like, crap, why did I get rid of it? Or why did I let my parents get rid of it? I really don't know what happened.
Yeah.
To my,
I'm like,
sure
when
like
I like gained
situation.
really like a consciousness for like collectibles later on in life, I was like, wow, I wonder how much my original like Bandai figures and toys that I got when I was like 5 through 10 years old, you can never find those again.
I know. Think about all the wealth you would have if you had those. Like all the Pokemon cards. Ugh, had all the originals. Right. It's crazy. But yeah, no, I started really like digging into collecting again. And gosh, I went pretty hard those first few years. 2006 to like, I want to say 2010 was where I accumulated the bulk of my Sailor Moon collection. And when I say the bulk, I mean like the essential pieces, because back then Sailor Moon wasn't
Yeah.
current, it wasn't licensed, so there wasn't any merchandise being made then. So I really, you only, if you were a collector back then, you were focusing on the stuff that was released in the past. So I collected all the stuff that is like worth so much now, like the RP toys, the older 90s Bandai figures, and all of that good stuff. It was a lot more affordable back then, and also not a lot of competition back then. There was a very small little group of Sailor Moon collectors, and there wasn't a lot of competition as there is compared to today. Like now everybody's collecting, which is awesome, by the way. I love that it's more mainstream. But yeah, no, ever since then, I've just been going hard. I've been going strong. I've never given up. I think as I get older, I appreciate it even more. And I always use this phrase, let me know if you guys agree. Liking cartoons and anime and Sailor Moon, I feel like it keeps us younger than other people our age who are not into that.
Yeah.
You guys agree to that? Like any kind of like examples that you guys can think of, like, you know, the people with, I don't know, I mean, and I'm saying nothing against people with families, but sometimes, you know, they're not into the same lifestyle that we are as anime fans.
I agree with that. I agree. Like, I've got so much shit back here. Like, I literally couldn't decide which specific like trinkets and things like I wanted in my background. Like, I just have so much.
We just talked about how, just like me and Pika, you also watched the original of the Sailor Moon. How would you rank the Sailor Moon adaptations, and is there anything to you that's just like a timeless staple, does not need to be touched, leave it alone?
I'm gonna need some clarification now. Okay, so when you mean the adaptations, like I'm thinking, you know, 90s versus manga.
Yeah, all of them. The deep dub versus the viz dub versus Cosmos versus the 5,000 different editions of the manga.
The Sailor Moon Crystal versus...
Yeah, I got you. Yes, and I am very well versed in all of them. Gosh, I mean, being, you know, a blogger on Sailor Moon Fan Network, we've got to know, you know, all the releases, what the differences are, the comparisons, all of that. So I do stay up to date with all of the versions, and I definitely have opinions on each one. A lot of people may not agree with me, so I just want to put this disclaimer out. I'm not trying to take away from anybody's opinions. You love what you love, and I'm so happy for everybody who loves it. Please don't take that in any negative way when I...
It's okay. I think every Sailor Moon fan has a different opinion, and we just accept it.
Exactly. You guys are in the community. I'm in the community. I see the negativity. I see how people will just, you know, crap all over someone else's opinion when that's not necessary. Even if you disagree, there is a kind way to agree and disagree. And I'm very much promoting that on my socials, you know, like kindness. A lot of people who watch my stuff have disagree with what I feel. And this is the part where I'm going to disagree. So let's just start from like my favorite. I'll go from my favorite to the bottom.
Go for it.
My absolute favorite will have to be the 90s Japanese subtitled in English. That's my number one favorite. The 90s anime in general, and I'm just talking about like it in general. That was my first exposure to Sailor Moon, was the 90s anime. I did not know of the manga before the anime. I found out about the anime first. So that one is really dear to my heart. From there, I would say the Viz dub did an incredible job of keeping the storyline, the plot, the dialogue, the LGBTQ plus relationship, all of that together. And I am very much thankful to Viz for bringing us an uncensored, true to the original Japanese version. So I always first and foremost do promote the Viz dub. I think they did an excellent job, and it's very unfair. I feel like Viz goes through a lot of hate because people are so blinded by nostalgia with the original voice actors of the Geek dub in English, and a lot of people will watch one episode and just say the awful worst things, and have like the full picture from one episode. And you can't have the full picture from one episode, is what I tell people. I'm like, it's okay to not like it, but please give it a full season try before you know, say all the negative things. You cannot form a solid opinion, in my opinion, watching one episode of the Viz dub, because I feel like the voice actors definitely grow within their roles, you know, as they go through all 200 episodes in movies. And then after that, I would say my next favorite would be the manga. I did read the manga for the very first time. Now, when I say the first time, I mean in its entirety. I did read a few of the Tokyo Pop editions once I found out about them, you know, during the Geek days, but they were all out of order. I didn't know what was going on. You know, they translated those as like,
Right.
it was so different from the show. Like, you know,
So
it was
different.
Bunny, it was Serena. I
So
was
different.
confused as heck. The translations were weird. I just like erased that version from my mind until Kodansha got the rights to release them, which is the same publisher as the Japanese manga in Japan. They released it in English here with an accurate translation. So in 2011, that's when I started reading the manga in its entirety. And as they released it, I read every single one that came out. So after 2011, I read the manga and I thoroughly enjoyed it. And then after that, I would say my least favorite of all of the Sailor Moon adaptations would be the reboot. I have a love-hate relationship with the reboot.
I as well.
I love it because it brought a new generation of Sailor Moon fans. There are so many people who have come to me saying, hey, I discovered Sailor Moon because of Sailor Moon Crystal, because of Sailor Moon Eternal, because of Sailor Moon Cosmos. And I will say I love that because I do want the Sailor Moon community to continuously grow and get bigger because I feel like we're so niche still. You know, I feel like we need to get bigger. So I will say I love the reboot for that. But across all of the Sailor Moon versions, there's a lot of inconsistencies. Fans know it. Fans are definitely aware of it. And we have our opinions on that. But as far as the reboot, it has the worst inconsistencies of them all. They change styles from every single season. And that bothers me so much. It's like just pick one and stick with it. I know that they continue to improve because of what fans were saying, like the criticisms that came out from the first seasons. Toei Animation was hearing that, and I think that's what made them change and evolve styles from there on out. And I do agree it's been getting better and better and better. I think as far as Cosmos goes, from what I've seen, that is probably going to be the best of the reboot. But yeah, it's just my least favorite, unfortunately. It's hard to do rewatches on it for me, especially the first and second seasons. The third season I quite enjoyed, but still the style and the animation still kills me a little, you know. Eternal looked great. I loved it. Oh, and another big inconsistencies, it went from seasons to movies. And I'm like, you guys are doing Sailor Moon so wrong, you know? But I get why they did it, because, you know, when they had the movie budget, they're going to make it look better. But I just feel like they should have always had a good budget from the get-go. We know Sailor Moon is a hot seller. We know it makes money. There's tons of merchandise continuously being released that is, you know, making Naoko a rich lady.
I am one of those people that's really nostalgic for the 90s dub. I do agree that the Sailor Moon reboot was just kind of like, I did not like the art style, like in the art direction. I wish that they did it in more of like that 90s anime look, just upgraded a bit. But I did like that it caused a resurgence in anime, shoujo anime, magical girl stuff, and then, you know, all with that, all these new like Sailor Moon collabs and these like merch releases. I was like, okay, boy.
Absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day, I have my criticisms, I have my critiques, but I still stand Sailor Moon. I'm going to, you know, shout it from the rooftops. I'm going to be like, you know, everybody needs to watch it. I don't care if, you know, you watch my least favorite version. I still love it and I still support it. And I think once Cosmos finally releases, you know, outside of Japan, I think it's going to go out with a bang.
Sailor Moon revolutionized the magical girl genre, and magical girls are recognized as symbols of empowerment, strength, and positive femininity. But outside of that, we want to talk about some of our favorite and least favorite tropes in the magical girl genre.
Yes, and before we dive into that, I do want to say, just for anybody who's listening or watching, that I had to look up trope, and I don't want to have like anybody who's in this feeling the same way, feeling embarrassed. So I'm just going to kind of tell everybody what it is. So tropes are like common or overused themes in the plots, animations, or devices, having a tragic backstory, good versus evil, shouting your attacks, talking animals, just a few examples in like the magical girl universe. So I just want to make sure, like, before we continue on, if anybody was like, what the heck is a trope? Because I sure the heck never ever heard of that word, and I had to Google it.
That's okay. Yeah, tropes are just, like you said, like some repetitive themes or things that happen, like the plot or the characters, the world building, and a lot of them are very genre defining. There are a lot of magical girl defining tropes that make a magical girl anime or manga magical girl.
I'm here for the pet companion. Where's her best friend that's a cat in some sense, a cat, a bunny, anything. I take it every single time, especially if they're talking to. Yes.
Except we all can probably agree we don't want a Kyubey, right?
Right.
From Madoka.
No, not that criminal. Absolutely not.
I would say one of my favorite tropes is the all-loving heroine, the girl that loves everybody and loves her friends and like will do everything for her friends, and she's also kind of a crybaby. This isn't necessarily a magical girl trope, just like a protagonist trope in general is like the crybaby hero. I know a lot of people hate it. I love it because I cry a lot.
It's
I'm
relatable,
always
I feel like, to a
sad,
lot of
I'm
us.
always
It's relatable.
crying, but I get done when I need to get done. I push through and like doesn't make me weak. So I love just like that heroine that just like loves everybody, loves her friends, even has a lot of empathy for the villains.
I like that because, kind of tagging off of what you just said, the theme of like friendship
power of
and
friendship,
redemption,
yeah.
and yes, trying to get the bad guys to be good before they destroy them. Like they want to try to save them instead of completely defeating them. I think those are like super important messages that we can use in our day-to-day lives. Like Usagi, for example, and her kindness, and to a lot of my real life scenarios where I try to be more like her and see it through what I would believe my situation looks like to Usagi, a fictional character. Like it doesn't always have to have a happy ending, but like I do find inspiration through that magical girl trope of like, you know, friendship and believing in people even if they've done bad things, like try to help them overcome that to where they can be happy. I
Exactly.
love that. I love that.
Another great character for me is Himino from Pre-Tier. She goes through kind of a crazy experience where she's thrown into being like this magical girl, and she starts to learn about like the former Pre-Tier wielder, and like she's like, oh my god, like I can empathize for her, like she's not a bad person. Having that battle of these two women going back and forth about like, I don't need your help, and she's like, you're not a bad person. And we have so many magical girls that are like, I just want to be there for you.
Yeah.
Coming to you girly to girly, I'm trying to be there for you. And I think that's like my favorite thing as well, is just that connection of like realization, like everyone's going through something, and it's okay. Just you gotta have love for people.
It's just so crazy how like this fictional character can have like this effect on like our real lives. And I just think like people that don't watch cartoons, don't watch anime, they don't know what's happening, you know? Like it really does affect us and makes us better people, I feel like. I mean, if you watch it and actually, you know, learn from it.
What would you say is one of your least favorite tropes when it comes to like magical girl anime, or even just like shoujo in general, or shoujo magical adjacent type of stories?
Like I'm just gonna like use the Sailor Moon as an example, and this was one from your list that I absolutely agree with. It's when the Guardians get a power up, and then afterwards they never use their other powers. Like when they get a power up, they get a new
just
power.
Like their only power.
When
they
they go to the Super Sailor Guardian, yes, and then they won't use their previous two other attacks that you know they had. Which, when you think about it, a magical girl gets a power up, you would think all around gets elevated. That's like in video games too. When you level up, everything levels up. You get a stronger attack, you get stronger defense, stronger everything. So I feel like they overuse a lot of the brand new attacks just because, you know, I don't know, because it's brand new. But like there are some instances in Sailor Moon, like the Sailor Moon Supers movie, which is the third one, comes to mind when Super Sailor Jupiter uses Supreme Thunder. And I think some of the other characters use some of their older attacks too. And I was like, why didn't we see that like throughout the anime? You know, it was in the movie, but like, I don't know. That's like one of my biggest pet peeves. Is when they just forget about all the other attacks and it's just one attack
and
every
like,
time.
Does every enemy
let's have,
need your most powerful attack?
Yeah, or like just have some variety. Like I like to picture if I was a magical girl, I'd be throwing all these attacks at all these. Sailor Moon is like probably the one character that only has like a couple attacks, and of course when she goes eternal, she loses her tiara. So she wouldn't have that, but I would have loved to see Sailor. Oh, she did actually use it in, oh my god, I'm going to use the Supers movie as an example again. She did use Moon Tiara action in that one to kill those Bon baby things. I remember, but you really didn't see that happen in the actual anime, you know, after all that. So I'm just like, oh, why?
I love that movie so much. I would say probably one of my least favorite tropes in like magical girl or just like fantasy action shoujo is like the useless boyfriend / love interest, or like creepy weird age gap love interest. Like, why are you here? You're not doing anything.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, if you think about it in like real life, well, I did find a partner that, you know, is kind of on my level. Like I wouldn't want one, you know, several steps below me. So yeah, I can see how I agree with that. Lo, what about you? What's one you dislike?
I've been thinking about it, and I think mine is just like love triangles that don't really make sense.
They always throw in a love triangle.
It's like the love triangles that you're like, what is going on? Like, you know, Usagi, Black
drama.
Lady, and like Tuxedo Mask. We're like, what is
Oh,
going
the Black
on
Lady
here?
one kills me
Yeah.
because
we
it's
don't talk
oh,
about Black Lady in the Sailor Moon fandom.
Oh.
Just pretend.
What
the
is
whole
that?
Chimisa obsessed with her dad is so bizarre.
It's
That's
so
probably one of the.
weird.
Oh, here's another one: Usagi, Mamoru, and Rei.
That
Oh,
made me
ugh.
hate her so much because especially when I was younger, I was such an OTP girl. Like I had my one true pairings in like everything that I watched. So whenever there was like a love rival, I would like hate them. I'd be like, I hate you.
But even at that, it's like, oh, I love him, and I don't need it. Like me personally, I don't need it.
Speaking of magical girl anime tropes, the transformation sequence is obviously the most iconic one of all. That's like what makes a magical girl. Lo and I, we joke a lot about like how when certain songs come on, it feels like it's our transformation sequence song. We're listening to it and just makes us feel like cooler and sexier and like, you know, more confident, kind of like an alter ego of ourselves, whether we're like doing karaoke or at the club or we're like getting ready. So do you have a song that kind of make you feel the same way? Like for me personally, mine is Misery Business by Paramore.
That's a good one.
Every single time. It's like a whole different person.
I'm going through my transformation sequence. Like that's how that song makes me feel. I'm glowing, my outfit's changing, like I'm spinning around.
Oh my gosh. I kind of went the other direction with it. I kind of like went like what makes me feel completely different and like sexy because, you know, I'm very nerdy. I'm a geek. I don't feel that way all the time. And that's not who I am all the time. So like there are certain songs that just transform and make me like, oh, I can be sexy too. First of all, one of my favorite artists is The Weeknd, and all of his older albums like Trilogy and Kissland. Oh, I'm a different person listening to all those super sexy songs. Kissland for sure. The actual songs, man, it just transforms me into a different super sensual person, and I could take on the world.
That's a good one. Older Weeknd songs, like
so good. It's like it was like back in his like alternative
that was like
days.
my
like
Tumblr era.
Yes, absolutely.
Lo, what's yours?
My friends would say it would probably be Chingy right there. I do become a different person when that song comes on. I could be in the worst mood and that song comes on and I'm a different person. I don't know what it is, but I would also probably have to say Work It by Missy Elliott. I'm like a whole different person when that song comes on. I'm like,
we are really seriously showing our age so much right now. Actually,
yes, we are. Oh my god, like
Destiny's Child, Lose My Breath. That's like a contender for sure.
Evanescence,
Bring Me to Life. That's like that will put me in like a different kind of like transformation. That would put me into my my emo transformation.
I love how you guys use those references. Like these songs are our transformation because we think we feel differently. We don't feel like our normal selves when these songs come on. I love that analogy.
I know that you said you don't watch a lot of other shoujo, but in relation, did growing up watching shoujo anime like Sailor Moon or just any other anime or manga in general, did it affect how you grew up perceiving and desiring romantic relationships?
You know what? That's such an interesting question. At the time, you know, when I was into Sailor Moon, like heavily as a teenager, young adult, before I met my husband, I thought I was going to be single forever. I wasn't interested in dating. I wasn't interested in guys. I wasn't interested in anybody, not women, not anybody. I thought I was going to be single my entire life. But the thing is, I think subconsciously, now that I think about it a little bit more, like my partner, his name is Curtis, hashtag Kurt's Crew, we call him on the stream. He is amazing. And and I think maybe subconsciously it had to have had an impact because I saw these successful relationships, and I will say one of my favorite relationships in Sailor Moon is Haruka and Michiru. They're my favorite. I always think that that's my favorite type of love, which is the selfish love. They're like, I will let the world burn if you're not in it type of love, unlike Usagi. Thank you. Unlike Usagi and Mamoru, which is like, oh, even if you die, I'm going to have to stay around and save the world. Like, no, I'm dying with my lover. I'm sorry, hands down. Yes, exactly. So Haruka and Michiru is like the parallel to my relationship, and I think I really, really love the relationship. But yeah, I think subconsciously it did, Pika, to answer your question, because I did find somebody who, you know, fights for me, who does anything for me, and yeah, it must have.
That is so freaking cute. I feel like I found a
love
partner
it.
that I think when I read a bunch of stuff, I'm always drawn to the male lead that's just so in love with her, never shuts up about it and says like the corniest, cheesiest things. You're the love of my life. You're the light of my life. I would do anything for you. Is just like
I love that
always
reassurance.
just showering her in like love and compliments and romance. And the girl's like always blushing. She's always crying. I feel like that's always been the type of romance that I crave. But when it's like real, you're just like, wow, this is everything that I've read in all my little mangas growing up, and it's so cute. What about you, Lo? Lo's like our serial crusher, always having a
Ooh,
crush.
I
She'll be like texting
I
me
always have a
like, oh, I have a
crush.
crush. I'm like, here we go again.
New husband, no.
I'm like, so there's this guy. I'm a romantic. I really, really am. My favorite Studio Ghibli film is House Moving Castle. That relationship, you have Sophie who's like, I don't need you. I truly don't. And like, you have Hal that's like, I'm crazy
Yeah.
about you. Sophie going through her own thing. And then like, you have Hal that's like, you're beautiful, Sophie. I want a house so bad. I'm just like, he's my standard freaking Kyo from Fruits Basket.
Oh.
How he fights for Toru. I'm like, these are the standards, and I haven't met that yet. For me, I haven't met that yet. I would definitely say it plays a role for like me, because I'm not gonna date someone who can't
be Howl.
meet what I feel that I
Yeah.
deserve. I watch these romance animes where you have these relationships where they're like so loved and engulfed in the person that they're interested in. I want that. I want someone to be in love with me. I don't want it
obsessed
to
with
be
me.
one-sided.
I want your world to revolve around me.
I want you to fight for me. Like you said, you have someone who fights for you. I deserve someone who will
Yeah.
fight for me.
Absolutely.
We're now in the activity segment of the Girltaku Show, where we have our guests do a couple different activities or games. The first one, we have a collection scavenger hunt. We want to ask you about certain items in your collection. We'll name some things off that we're looking for, and then you can show us and the audience which items correspond with what we ask. So the first thing that we want you to find is your most expensive item.
Okay, so I have two items at tie. They're both over the 700 mark. One of the most expensive items I've ever bought was the Sume Art Super Sailor Moon statue, officially licensed. The other one, I need to go back and look at prices, but this one was also $725 plus tax, and those were the Jimmy Choo tennis shoes. Most expensive Sailor Moon items that I have ever purchased.
What is your rarest item?
I want to say that my rarest item is probably a display from the 90s. It's usually in the background of my YouTube videos, and it's probably like a 3.5 Sailor Moon S Bandai standee display, and it has Sailor Moon sitting on top of it. It was a very rare find. I think it's probably the only one in existence because, you know, those things get trashed.
What is your oldest item?
So I do have some Sailor Moon merchandise. Came out in 1992, which was the year the anime aired. Just little knickknacks from 1992.
What is the item most special to you?
I always feel a little silly sharing this because it's really not much. But this is a Sailor Moon World Cosmic Heart Compact kids necklace, and this thing is official. It's from 2002. The reason why it's my favorite, I don't know if you guys know, but there have been different years of Sailor Moon merchandise. This in particular is from the 10th anniversary that began in the early 2000s. I think some of the dolls came out in 1999, and this was the 10th anniversary merchandise. This is actually my collection focus, is to collect all of the Sailor Moon World goods and to somehow create a database eventually for collectors in the future, because a lot of this stuff, people didn't collect it when I collected it in like early years of 2006. Sailor Moon World was so cheap back then and nobody cared about it. And so I've been collecting all the oddball stuff, coloring books, kids' clothing from that time, because it's going to go undocumented from collectors, because who cares about that stuff, right? I care about it. Sailor Moon World, if you guys know about that merchandise, it has a very unique style. They don't use black lines on the anime characters. They color them into the like a darker version of their skin, of their hair, of their fukus, all of that. So it was very very colorful. It's very bright. This is just like my favorite stuff. But this item in particular, it took me so long to find, so rare. And the Cosmic Heart Compact is my favorite Sailor Moon compact, by the way. So all in all, my most special item.
What is the weirdest item that you have?
Since you guys maybe aren't too deep into the Sailor Moon merchandise world, Sailor Moon has made almost everything. Almost in some bizarre categories. Sometimes we're like, why are you making this? Probably my weirdest item in my collection is Sailor Moon toilet paper.
We were waiting for that one.
This is strange. This was officially licensed, and a collector back in the day bought the pack and sold other collectors an individual roll. And if you guys can see on here, it is the Chibi Guardians.
Yeah.
All on here with their guardian symbols. There's Sailor Moon right there.
I love how it's in pristine condition as well.
Pristine, you guys. I usually keep this wrapped up in plastic, but I removed the plastic so we can really look at it. But that's got to be my weirdest item.
I do recall seeing on Twitter once somebody was showing their collection of like Sailor Moon condoms.
That was going to be one of my ones I was going to bring up. I couldn't find it in my collection, but I have it. And yes, there are Sailor Moon condoms.
This next activity we're going to do is a segment we call Hate or 8. We are going to show you some outfits, and on a scale from 1 to 8, we're going to rate them. 1 being the worst and 8 being the best. 8. So if it's an 8,
if it's an 8, that means the 8.
Let's do it.
So the first one that we have is Isagi's rain outfit.
Look how big Luna is in that picture. Wow, she's gigantic.
Huge.
When you guys are rating these, are you rating it like compared to like your own style? Would you wear it, or just like if it's cute on the character? Because I have two different views on this.
Whatever your opinion is on the outfit. I'm not a huge fan of the yellow knee-high socks. I would
feel like
rate
they should have been white.
Like a 6.
Very matchy in my opinion. She definitely 8, but I would rate it about a 7.
For Sailor Moon, for Usagi, oh man, this is an 8. This is an 8 for sure. But like if I was gonna wear this in real life, this is like a 2.
Our next one is one of my favorite Sailor Scouts, Sailor Pluto, and we are going to rate her transformation outfits.
I would give her an 8.
It's a 10, but it's an 8. Because she's 8.
Outer Guardian love up in here. 8 for sure. I'm a big fan of the Sailor Fukus. This is like an outfit that transcends time.
So this next one is Ichigo's daily outfit, her daily going out outfit.
This one is probably going to be, I'm going to say hate. It's too cutesy for me. I'm going to rate it a 4.
That's valid.
For me, I feel like this is something I would wear in my daily life, but as a magical girl, I would probably give it a 5.
I would give it like a 2. I don't like it.
This next one is from Cardcaptor Sakura. She's probably one of the only magical girls that's not a transformation magical girly. Her best friend makes her outfits.
I would say I ate it. I love this. I think it's cute as a cosplay. I think it's cute for a magical girl. The ears are everything. The big ass bell is adorable. 8 for me.
For me too. It's an 8. I love it.
It's an 8.
I just love this outfit. This
it's an 8.
Out of all of them.
She 8.
She 8. Our last one, we had to do it. This is an iconic look. What do we think, y'all?
Mine's going to be a 7, which is still an 8, I feel like. I would actually wear this in real life. The only thing I would change is I would not pull up those pants that high, and I would not put those turquoise socks on. But other than that, I'd wear the whole entire outfit.
I'm not going to lie. I would give it a 6. I think it's like one of her most iconic looks. Out of all the everyday outfit looks. It's cute, but again, we could go cuter. We are now in the advice segment of the Girltaku Show, where we get a little bit real and we get a little bit personal for those who are watching that may be experiencing or going through similar things. Our first question that we have for you: the nature of your content requires a lot of consistent, often immediate posting on multiple platforms. Does this ever get overwhelming for you? Can you talk about how you navigate this kind of output and relationship with social media, especially during the times where your mental or physical health may not be the best? Like, how do you navigate when you feel like you need a break?
Yeah, absolutely. And I will say, doing what I do, content creation, blogging, I am on social media all the time. I almost want to say I work like 24/7 in some instances, checking messages, replying to comments. You have to have that engagement with your audience to grow. And it does get overwhelming. I do get a lot of, negative comments now that I am
Yeah.
getting bigger. I am sensitive to those. They always say you have to have thick skin, when you're on the internet and when you're posting content. You always want to have thick skin, but it's
hard.
also not realistic to
It's
say
hard.
that they don't affect you and you're not sensitive to it. And I absolutely am. And in those instances, I try to make sure to take breaks from my phone. When you take your phone, you're on the go 24/7 with it. It's always there. And we're so like programmed, as in our age group and even younger generations, it's like our phone is always on us. So I like to make a point every night around, I want to say like 5 o'clock, I put my phone down, I put it on silent and I turn it upside down where the light will not be illuminated and show my notifications. And I'm like, I'm done for the evening. I don't care if something, crazy happens on the internet that Sailor Moon, collaborates with this huge brand. I'm just going to look at it in the morning and it's still going to be there the next day. And that's what I like to try to do on the weekends as well. I try not to do content on the weekends. And also a big tip, if anybody is in the same position that I am, all the negativity is just affecting you and you need a break. Take care of yourself first and foremost, and also get outside.
Touch
That's what
grass.
helps me. Thank you.
Get
Breathe in the fresh
outside.
air. Get some of that,
Get that
sun rays
the
on your
sun.
skin. The vitamin D, everything. And also don't bring your phone when you do this. Like I love to go to gardens and just experience nature and breathe and relax.
I also love that you said going outside and making sure you don't have your phone with you, because in my opinion there's no point in taking that break but then you're on your phone the whole time, right?
Absolutely. You have to put that phone down. You have to put it on silent. Get it away from you just for a little bit. And I promise I feel so much better when I take those breaks.
Well, and also the way that social media algorithms work now is even if you post something and you're in a rush to post something like right away, people might not even see it for like 3 days from now. It might not even pop up on their feed yet.
Oh yeah, sometimes the video won't blow up until
it's
3
like,
days
what was I
later,
rushing for?
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, people always
Exactly.
think that, they have to be first. They have to do this before anybody else. You guys, there's a million people doing the exact same thing you're doing. What you bring is completely different than what they bring. You don't have to be first. You don't have to, put those high expectations that no one single person can do.
I feel that. I think that taking breaks is important, and that's one of the main pieces of advice that a lot of creators have.
We want to talk a little bit about the culture of collecting, especially since it's become a lot more popular in these past few years. But with all of the collecting, it definitely comes with a financial commitment and it can become an unhealthy obsession. So, in your opinion, what are some things and disciplines that you do to keep in mind to stay grounded when it comes to having a healthy relationship with your hobby?
Like you said, collecting is the thing now. We saw that during the pandemic, Pokemon cards blew the heck up, and they are still going strong today, the collectible trading card game community. I definitely see the boom, and a lot of people are like, they always think that I'm rich, first of all. That is the big major thing that I've got a pet peeve about that. They see my collection and say, oh, I wish I was rich as you. I'm not rich. I am not rich. What I do to keep myself in check, because I cannot buy everything as much as I would absolutely love. And there are some collectors who somehow are able to buy every single Sailor Moon item that comes out. I am not that person. I can't do it. Not only do I not have the financial means to, but I don't have the space. So what I like to do is when something new comes out, I like to really think about it. Am I in love with it? Do I have any criticisms? And if I'm not like 100% I love this, I don't think I'm going to get it. But sometimes I'm still undecided. So a lot of times they come out and there's a pre-order. And if I'm undecided, I won't pre-order it. I'll just be like, I'll wait till it comes out. And then by that point, most often, I don't even buy it if I was in that undecided range. So really, if something new comes out, I really want it, I pre-order it immediately, boom. And then on the other side, I always make sure my bills are paid first. And this is where, like you were saying, Lo, that there's FOMO. There's people who could potentially make bad financial decisions when they don't have the money, or they shouldn't be spending it because they have rent to pay or they have a bill to pay. You have to really think about your priority. And if you can't, pay for those things and collect, just don't collect at this time. Like maybe things will be better.
Especially when you're like just getting into collecting, or you like are just getting into a fandom
Yes.
and you're like, I need to collect all the manga. I need to collect all the figures. I need to collect this and that, or like I need to be the first one that posts my unboxing.
And I get the urgency too. A lot of these collectibles are limited edition and you have only a short window to grab it. And that's another thing. You just kind of got to really think about it. A lot of people like just pull the trigger like this, but it requires you to sit down, have a clear mind, you know, think about the pros and the cons, especially if it's a pricey item. I mean, we have a Sailor Moon figure that's coming out that is almost $1,000 in the future here. We don't have images of it yet, but it's coming out and a lot of collectors are like, what am I going to do? This thing is going to, you know, set me back quite a bit.
A lot of people don't talk about the financial disciplines and responsibilities when it comes to collecting. Like it's kind of like a race. Like I need all this stuff and I need all this stuff first.
Yeah, and I have a love-hate relationship with collecting all the time. Even though I'm a collector and I support collecting and I promote collecting, I also get to the point where it's like, I have so much. What am I doing? Like you can't even see half the stuff because it's all buried.
As well.
Overconsumption. And of course, you know, we're buying plastic, you know, that can't degrade. It's a whole thing. It's a whole thing that I go into my mind about, and I definitely think about it.
What am I doing?
Yes, exactly. So like advice that I could give to people who are in that like FOMO state, they don't have a lot of, you know, disposable money. It's like, take it from somebody who has a lot of stuff. I've accumulated it over years and years and years. You know, you can take your time to buy things as you can afford it. And eventually you'll have a whole room full of stuff and you're going to be like, what am I doing? What am I doing? I think smaller collections look so much better. I think they're easier to organize and you don't have to have a room full of collectibles to quote unquote be happy. In fact, I'm starting to see the reverse effect happen, and I don't want people to, you know, get where I am.
Brooke, it was great having you on the Girltaku Show. So much fun. You're a great person, and your collection, once again, is amazing. And is there anything else that you have for us? Any new projects coming up?
I do have a few new projects. I'm hosting for the very first time at a pretty major convention. I'm hosting some voice actors for Sailor Moon coming up at Planet Anime KC.
Oh my gosh.
At the end of this month. They hired me for that, and I'm super nervous. It's my first hosting gig at this level. So it's going to be Kate Higgins, which plays Sailor Mercury in the Viz dub. It's going to be Tara Platt, which plays Usagi's mom, and Michael Yurchak, which plays Hokusai. I'm hoping to expand my already like plethora of things I already do into like hosting and, you know, just hyping this amazing anime and manga community up through conventions and making people feel comfortable. I've been told quite often that I make people feel like they have a voice and they can talk, like they feel comfortable saying their piece in front of me, and I really took that to heart. Like other hosts, they don't feel like they can say anything, and I want, you know, to raise more people's voices and say what they want to say. So I think I'm switching a little bit on what I'm doing going forward, and I'm super excited for that. I do want to thank you, Lo, and Pika for this amazing opportunity to be on your guys' Girltaku show. I love the idea. You guys have like blown me away with what I have seen of your graphics. You guys are so professional, and I can see you guys growing from this, and I wish you guys all the success, and thanks to your audience for watching. You guys make sure you hit that subscribe button, follow them on social media, and watch their freaking growth, because they will be big. They will be probably interviewing a lot bigger people than me, and it's gonna be a amazing ride. I'll be there supporting and watching.
Thank you so much, Brooke, for being on the Girltaku Show. We loved having you. Everybody watching, we'll see you guys next time. Bye.
See you next time, y'all.
Bye, everybody.
Sailor Moon says, see ya!